Hi, I recently watched the 1955 romantic drama Summertime, starring Katharine Hepburn. It's the story of as in her own terms, fancy secretary who, after several years of saving money, has finally been able to travel from her hometown of Akron, Ohio, to Venice for the holiday of a lifetime, hoping perhaps that she'll meet some charming Italian who'll sweep her off her feet. She stays in a small hotel right by the lagoon and starts to see various touristic sites until she visits a glass shop and starts to fall for the middle aged proprietor. However, their relationship doesn't go as smoothly as she would hope, and the story winds up being rather more bittersweet. Um, Watching the movie, the first third or so, I was starting to wonder if the film was going to have any plot at all, because it seemed to consist entirely of Katharine Hepburn wandering around the sights of Venice. And I thought, oh, well, this is a very nice travelogue because it's filmed in luscious colour. Venice looks beautiful. It's very well filmed. It's directed by David Lean, one of the great all time directors. And I thought, well, if it's just Venice scenery, then, it's hard to find a city that's more beautiful to look at. And then the romantic story starts, and it's so cliched and dull, and Hepburn's character is so bland and uninteresting, and there are so few kinks or elements of it that are in any way interesting or engaging, and the whole thing winds up being completely flat. It, it's hard to understand what the point of this is. It's based on a play and was adapted weirdly by both Lean and H.E. Bates, the creator of the Darling Buds of May stories, which seems bizarre that he would have been chosen to write this. And it's a film that I can imagine having appeal for bringing the beauty of Venice into your local cinema in full gorgeous Technicolor. And Venice looks fantastic. The film was shot entirely on location in the city. It looks stunning. I can't think of another a film that has made Venice look as beautiful. But the story is barely there. The characterization is boring. It just there's so little to it other than the beautiful scenery and the lovely photography that I really don't understand why Lean decided this was his favorite of his own films. This was the film that had really captured his imagination. He fell in love with Venice and maintained a home there for the rest of his life. And Venice is incredibly beautiful and is an extraordinary, intoxicating place. Having been there myself, I loved it. But if you're going to set a movie there, you have to have some story. Blame It on the Bellboy and Moonraker both have good stories. This doesn't. This has Katharine Hepburn being grumpy and moping about, or in one scene of entertainment, actually falling in one of the canals, which she did for real, and then contracted a conjunctivitis type infection that bothered her for the rest of her life, which is why you don't go in the water in Venice. But this film, beautiful though it is to look at, it really should be watched with the sound off, assuming you bother watching it at all. This was the last of Lean's smaller scale movies. 2 years later, he makes The Bridge on the River Kwai, which is a giant hit, wins him various Oscars, wins Alec Guinness his Oscar, and he turns his back on sub 2.5 hour films for the rest of his life. Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, Ryan's Daughter, and A Passage to India form the rest of his filmography. So, as the end of a particular phase of Lean's career, after 15 years of making not small but contained and certainly reasonably lengthed films, this is disappointing. It looks beautiful. That's never in dispute. But there's almost nothing else to it.